Hi everyone, this is James Braithwaite at Braithwaite Physiotherapy, helping you to move beautifully. And today we are going to talk about a very specific type of wrist pain that onsets commonly in racket sports like tennis, although also other sports, sports that involve stick handling type work, hockey for example, lacrosse, also sports where you have to push people around a lot. We're going to focus on tennis though, but be aware that there are other drivers of this type of injury as well. And the injury is damage to a set of soft tissue structures in a little spot on the pinky side of the wrist called the ulnar fovea. The ulnar fovea is this little soft spot that you can feel. If you sort of feel down the side of your hand and you feel like the bone at the bottom corner of the wrist on that pinky side, and then drop just down below that, and you'll sink into this little soft spot that's on the palm side of the ulna, the forearm bone, and below that bottom corner of the wrist, as I mentioned. That little soft spot holds a number of cartilage structures, ligaments. There's a joint capsule for the radial-ulnar joint at the end of the forearm as well. And there's so many different little structures in there that they call it an anatomical black box, which means there's so much stuff that when it hurts, we often have a really hard time knowing what specific structure is injured. Now that makes it tough to sort of diagnose specific things. However, there are in general a few common candidates. The first and one of the most common types of injury that I see here are tendon injuries on a muscle called the extensor carpi ulnaris, which is just a little wrist extender and deviator muscle whose tendon runs across this sort of pinky side of the wrist where the ulnar fovea sits. If you think that this might be your problem, you might notice that when you do a palm up, a supinating type movement, that type of palm up movement, it starts to hurt, and hurts even worse if you push the thumb out against some resistance. So if you put your palm up and push your thumb out against a little bit of resistance against your hand, say, and it really, really hurts on that ulnar fovea aspect of your wrist, this may be your issue. Another common problem is a piece of cartilage called the triangular fibrocartilaginous complex. Blah, blah, blah. It's a complicated name for it's a piece of cartilage that sits in that ulnar fovea, and that as well can get torn, and that commonly has trouble along with the set of ligaments that connect the two forearm bones, the ulna and the radius. And if you're wondering whether it's that junction, those sets of ligaments that connect the ulna and the radius that are at fault, what you can do is take a look down the line of your forearm as you extend your hand out into a punching type movement, and look at the prominence of the styloid process on your ulna, that little bump that sits at the end of the bone on the pinky side of your forearm. Take a look at it on your injured side versus the uninjured side. Is there a difference in the prominence of that styloid? And actually, in my particular case, you might be able to see from there that I am indeed more prominent on this side versus this side, which does indicate that I've had some damage to the ligaments that connect these two forearm bones, the radius and the ulna. So I have a historic injury on this, just so that you all know. If you've got a fresh injury, you can also, and you notice that difference in deviation between the two styloid processes, you can place your palm down flat on a countertop like that and just push down on that forearm bone, the ulna, just a little bit up the arm from that prominent styloid process, and push down on it. And if it really, really hurts in there, that might be part of your problem. So whether it's cartilage stuff that we talked about, whether it's ligament stuff, whether it's tendon stuff like that extensor tendon we mentioned. So what would we do about it if we have one of these injuries? Well, in this particular case, the answer is not that complicated. There aren't tons of fancy exercises that you can do, not lots of fancy treatments. It's really a sort of wait and see. Sometimes bracing can play a role, or taping, to help reduce mobility in the wrist for a period of time so that you don't aggravate it. Certainly activity modifications. So the types of sports where you have to do those lunging, reaching, rotating, loading type actions, like say in tennis, or whatever the sport was that aggravated your injury, you would definitely reduce your participation or eliminate your participation for several weeks, up to 6 weeks in those types of sports. And along with that reduction in sport participation, some bracing or taping, and sometimes some other modalities like, say, regular hot packs to try and promote circulation to the area, it's a wait and see game. In the case where you've done maybe 4 to 6 weeks of that wait and see type game, it's still not getting better. There are thankfully lots of other medical interventions that a sports medicine physician can help you with, but certainly your physiotherapist will help to direct you along that road, whether it is that you need this conservative treatment with activity modification, or whether you need sort of a medical intervention requiring either surgery or some such thing. So if you have questions about this, that's what you ask your physiotherapist about. So hopefully this provides some insight for you as to what these types of injuries are all about and how you should manage them. But if you have questions, of course, that's what I am here about. And of course, everyone else here in the clinic, we're happy to help you. So reach out and ask us questions if you have any issues like this. My name is James Braithwaite of Braithwaite Physiotherapy, where we help you to move beautifully.